Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. And now your host, me, Shane Lakita. Hey, good morning, everybody. Man, I've got the deep voice going today because I am up pretty early getting ready to travel. So welcome to Coffee Talk. Welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here, and we're just going to talk about a bunch of stuff. And it's a pretty big moment for the podcast, and pretty big moment for our community at No Finish Line Nation, and all kinds of stuff. It's a culmination of a lot of stuff going on over this whole entire weekend coming up soon. But I wanted to make sure that I got a podcast out before I went out for traveling, because we're jet setting. My wife, my son, and I, we're going to hop in the airplane out of Boston, fly across the country out to Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're going to go out there to enjoy some time with some really, really cool people, and people that we've met on the internet, people that we met through our webpage or our Facebook page. I've met through the Coffee Talk podcast, all kinds of things that are coming up. So it's going to be a really, really good time. So as we talk about time, I want to be able to get right into the podcast here in a moment, because I think that there's a lot on my mind. And I posted this morning on all of the social media platforms, Instagram and all the other areas where I'm playing in, or the spaces that I'm playing in. But I just want to talk about a couple things. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover, is that we're going to be going out there. We're going to be traveling. I'm going to be posting pictures. I'm actually going to be recording some small little audio snippets and things like that on my phone to see if I can do a little changeover to be able to upload it to the podcast, so you guys can get some interviews if I'm doing really quick snapshots with different people and interviewing some really successful, amazing, driven people that are all part of this community. I'm going to try to be able to capture little snippets and little moments in time that we can put together for you guys to be able to experience it when I get back for the podcast, and we're going to be able to do it. So with that being said, the podcast is going to be almost not out of commission, but I'm going to be away for 2 weeks. We're leaving on Thursday, and we'll be back on the 18th. So there won't be a podcast next week. I might try to see if I can put something out really quick to be able to just keep that cadence going and keep everything going with it. But be on the lookout for that if I do that. But other than that, you've got a lot of episodes to tap into, a lot of things you can kind of reflect back on and be able to, lean in on the library of where I'm at right now, what I'm building here with Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. Okay. So today is a Thursday, so let's go out and make some great things happen, and we'll get right into the podcast now. Guys, so here we are, and we're fading out with the music here, and I'm going to get this ship sailing because you're here with me, and I'm pretty amazed by that fact, to be honest with you. I know we open up in the intro with the fact that there's a lot going on with me. I'm traveling, going out with the family, but I take the time to do these things because I want to get right in my brain. I want to get right in where I'm at in my mindset. I want to be in a good place with whatever I'm doing. And I know that with this trip, it's 2 weeks of us on vacation, right? No structure, no boundaries or anything like that, except for the fact that we're just going to go and enjoy ourselves. And so that's a lot of times where I get in trouble, right? Where I'm sitting there, I may be on vacation, but then the mindset kicks in where I'm like, well, I'm on vacation, so I'm just going to eat whatever I want, however I want, and just do whatever I want. And then I start to slide. So I've got a good plan. I got a good plan about what I'm doing for this trip, what I'm going to eat, where we're going to go, those kind of things. I've already started to map things out, and I'm not to put a lot of pressure on anything, but an enjoyable experience around things that I want to be able to do so. So there's alternatives to the foods that I want to eat, or some things that I want to do. I am still working around the no meat aspect of my journey, and I'm really trying to work on just being a better version of myself to be able to make good decisions whenever I'm in the mode of relaxation and the mode of just doing the things that I need to do. So there's a lot of choices that'll be coming up, and I want to make sure that I'm in the right mindset. So what better way for me to put myself in this mindset than to sit down with you and have a coffee talk and to be able to do a podcast? kicking it off on the right foot for me to go head down to Boston for the airport and be able to do that. So I started off this morning by doing that. I actually kicked off my Instagram, and like I said earlier in the intro, the different social media feeds, I put on those feeds an image that I found that I wanted to make sure that I know that I'm aware of what I'm doing. Okay, so if I'm leaving for 2 weeks with my wife and my son, I've got an event coming up in Boston, or in Scottsdale on May 4th. We know all about that. You guys have heard about that through the podcast. And then we're going to go traveling. We're going to go visiting all kinds of different stuff. The problem is, a lot of times we get so mundane, we get so drowned out by the fact that we're on tablets and phones and social medias and all kinds of different things, that I can't forget to stop in the moment and just enjoy and breathe and be around and be present and relevant and be there for my family. You know, we don't get a lot of times where we can just kind of get out and do stuff. My son's got sports. My wife's got her business at home. I'm working all the time. I'm traveling all over the place. So we get time off. We want to spend some time together, just the three of us, just to be able to connect, to be able to really dig in and be something special, and making sure that we can just enjoy these times. I mean, my son is early teens. 4 years from now, when he graduates from high school, I'm sure that he's a very social guy. So he's going to be out doing all kinds of stuff. He's going to want to go out and just be about and be around and be social, and maybe go to college or military or whatever he does. He's going to want to go and run for the hills and be able to do the things that he has to do, because that's how he's wired and that's where he's at. So I want to enjoy every moment that I can and be able to embrace every single little thing. So when I was thinking about this kind of thing, and I was being able to just put that plan in my own head, making sure that we are setting ourselves up for success when we move forward, having good tunes for the car when we're traveling across the country, or no Xbox to be able to keep that back home, to be able to just invest in each other and enjoy the moments, I found an image that was on the internet. And the image itself that I found was just a few words. Okay, and they're pretty impactful. They're pretty powerful words. The image itself says, "Time is non-refundable. Use it with intention." Okay, so some people might think that that's kind of morbid, right? You got non-refundable time. You can't take back the things that you've already experienced or the life that you've already lived and those kind of things. And we talk about reflecting on our past to be able to build for the future, or forget about the past if it's a tumultuous bad time, to be able to live for better things in the future. That's all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, time is everything. Time is what we need to be able to create memories. Time is what we need to be able to become what you want to become. Time is what we need whenever we want to lose weight. Think about it. If you're trying to lose weight and you think you're just going to snap your finger and overnight you're going to be able to lose the weight that you want to lose, or become or have the body that you want to have, you can't just snap the finger and then poof, it's there, right? I mean, it takes work. It takes a little bit of simmering. You got to be able to work at it. You got to put a plan together. You got to be able to grind it out and be able to do whatever you do. Because if you do have something that's going to snap the finger to make that magical poof happen, then more often than not, you're going to gain all that back, and it's going to be a failure on the back end. And the only reason I say that is because that's happened to me 1,000 times, where I've done things like taking certain types of diet pills, or taking certain things that were like uppers that I could actually get my metabolism going, or different things that I've had. So I've had some success with it. I'm like, all right, this is great. The second that I come off with it, I gain those pounds that I lost back plus 25 or 30 more. And there's no magic pill. We all know that everything that you want to accomplish in life takes work. It takes energy. It takes time. It takes you to be able to be dedicated to whatever craft that you're trying to be able to come up with. You've got to take the time to do it. So one version of the time is, how much time are you taking to be able to set yourself up for success? Okay, this is the pre-work time. This is the time that you put into, how are you prepping your meals? This is the time that you put into, are you setting yourself up with a schedule to go to the gym a certain amount of times during the week? Are you prepping yourself to be able to go to see a personal trainer when you're at the gym, right? Somebody that's going to be able to sit down with you, to be able to give you workouts, to be able to give you some coaching and some feedback or whatever else. Are you taking the time to prepare yourself for success moving forward? That's the first snapshot of time. Okay, so time is so important. So the beginning section of that time is, how am I setting myself up? Am I giving myself tools? Am I giving myself resources? Am I giving myself accountability partners? Am I setting myself up for success with the types of places that I'm going, the foods that I'm eating, the gyms that I'm going to. Do I like the gym that I'm going to? Do I need to change that? Do I need to map that out and see what my plan is when I'm at the gym? And this is all just health-related stuff, but this could be work-related stuff too. So if you're an engineer and you've got a big project coming up and you've got to be able to put something together to be there. So how are you taking the time to set yourself up for success? Are you doing research? Are you setting yourself up for the right resources? Are you doing a little investigative things before you actually get into the project with the team that you're with? Are you collecting the right people to put on your team with you to be able to be successful with that project that you're doing? You see what I'm saying? Time is something that's super important prior to the actual time that it takes to do what you're trying to do. So we're talking about all these small snippets of time that you're in to be able to set yourself up for success, to be able to execute on that success, and then recap and refocus and refire or celebrate in that success when you move forward. Those are all snapshots in time though, right? Everything that we do is a certain amount of time. Every second that goes by on that clock is another time period that has passed us by that we're not doing some of the things that we're trying to do or that we're supposed to do to be successful. And like I said, that may sound morbid to some. You only have a short amount of time. You gotta make sure you either maximize or you're just gonna let life pass you by. It may sound morbid, but it's so true. It's so true. Your time is now. It's not tomorrow. It's not yesterday. Your time is right now. Because you don't know if you're going to get tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen. What if you get in the car and you go drive down the road and accidentally veer off the road after a deer jumps out in the road and you hit a tree? And then you've lost all the opportunity for you to be able to maximize your potential and get to the things you have to get to. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So tomorrow's not promised. So live for today. Okay? The first portion of the time that we're talking about is the pre-work time. What you're doing to set yourself up for success. And if you haven't done that, that is the first step to you being successful. Sit down, map out what you want to do. Map out what your goals are, your dreams are, the things you want to accomplish. Map out all the things that you want to be able to do, whether it's lose weight, whether it's gain muscle, whether it's run miles, whether it's be successful at work, whether it's make $1 million, whether it's get out of debt, whether it's just to be a good dad or mom, whatever it is. Write it down, set goals around it, and know the time that you're taking to be able to prepare yourself to be successful moving forward is only going to help you. It's only going to help you be successful. Everything that I do, I'm intentional with because I try my best to make sure that I'm setting myself up for success. Now, here's the other part of time that comes into play. And we'll talk about it on the after portion of the goals that you're trying to set for yourself. You also have to set yourself up with plan B and C during that time. Be prepared for things to happen. Be prepared for if plan A doesn't work and you've got it set in stone and you've got it all mapped out and you're ready to go and you got the time set out and you got the meals planned, you got everything. And then all of a sudden the group that you're with says, oh, we want to go to this restaurant. And then you go, oh, I didn't map that out. I didn't take a look at that. Look out for plan Bs. Give yourself a plan B, a C, and sometimes even more often a D to be able to adjust, to pivot, to look around, to make the changes necessary for you to be successful when you're trying to accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish. Because not everything is perfect. And I'd love it for it. Listen, if I could live in a space that everything was perfect and everything I tried to do or I set forth for everything that I did, if everything was perfect, I would absolutely love it. I mean, wouldn't we all? Don't we all just want to be successful? Don't we want to be winners? Don't we want to be successful in everything we do? But 9 times out of 10, life then goes, oh, life is a little too easy for you, so I'm going to throw this curveball at you. Or, oh, you think you're so big, you think you're so hot, right? You think you're awesome. You think you're good to go with wherever you're going to go to, so I'm going to throw this curveball at you. And we have all these little situations that arise that come up and try to be obstacles towards us being successful. So first step, take the time. Take the time necessary for you to prepare yourself. Take the time necessary to map out what you want to try to accomplish. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D. Now, if you're not a planner, I get it. Sometimes some people just wing it. When I get on a stage and I go do any kind of public speaking or I do things for work or whatever else, I'm not a planner. I can't plan because it doesn't come across as genuine whenever I plan. And sometimes it's stuffy, right? But when it comes to our life and the things that we want to accomplish, if we don't give ourselves some form of structure and the ability to be able to give us some checkpoints and some measurements and some quantifiable looks at what we're trying to be able to do, we may never accomplish the things that we really want to accomplish in life. So you got to do this to be able to set yourself up for success moving forward. So step one is take the time, you hear the key word time, to be able to set yourself up for success and plan it out, okay? Step two, take the time to do it, okay? The word time is key here because you have to make sure that you set realistic expectations with yourself that not everything is so quick. If you're an impatient person, part of the planning period, part of the pre-work that you're doing that we just talked about in the prep work, in the pre-planning time period, you've got to set yourself up for those mental balance checks. If you're an impatient person, to be able to do true quality checks and knowing that, check your mind. Take a look at where you're at. See if you can give yourself checks and balances over the fact that, oh, wait a minute, no, I've got to invest in some positivity here. I'm doing some things that are positive in my life. I'm trying to work for my dreams and goals and aspirations. It's okay that it takes time. It's going to take time. Shane told me on Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 that it's going to take time. So step two is take the time to do it. Make it happen. Do the things you have to do to be successful. But realistic expectations is super critical. You can't just add water and it grows like a plant because a plant takes time. How many of you are gardeners? You go out to the garden, you put the seeds down, you look at it, you're like, come on, man, I want my tomatoes. I want my zucchinis. And the next thing you know, months later, you're like, oh, I don't have anything. Nothing is happening here. All I got is a bunch of green leaves everywhere, and this is really, really ticking me off. And the next thing you know, with patience and with time and energy that it takes to be able to do so, all of a sudden, you get all kinds of veggies coming through in that garden. Because it takes time. It takes time to grow. It takes time to move forward. It takes time to put one foot in front of the other. It takes time to marinate. It takes time to germinate. It takes time to do all those things. You've got to take the time necessary for you to get to where you want to go. Now, we've talked about many times on the podcast, if you can give yourself achievable goals during that time that you're going for the big goal, you're going to set yourself up for more success than anything else. If you can set yourself up for success with small, attainable, bite-sized goals, heading towards that big goal, right? The big thing that you're trying to be able to accomplish, you're only going to be able to give yourself a positive headspace, and that impatience that we might get into, that we were just talking about, that impatient feeling of, I just want to get this thing done, let's move forward and let's make it happen. I want to be 150 pounds lighter right now. But if you give yourself bite-sized goals and small achievable things to be able to accomplish, now your mindset's going the right direction because now you feel like you're winning. Now you feel like you're actually being successful with the things that you're doing. You're not feeling like it's so monumentous and huge. Now you're feeling like I can actually accomplish something that I'm setting one foot in front of the other to do. I'm embarking on something that I can do, not something that is unachievable or so grand that it just seems like it's never going to be able to accomplish it. Okay, so the middle time period, the step two portion, is to take the time necessary to learn that part of it. You got to be able to start to implement your actions and actually do what's necessary for you to be successful and push forward. How often, and I posted this on Instagram and on Facebook, how often do we sit around and wait for things to happen rather than going and doing it? So we sit in step one. We sit down and we look at our plan and we map it out and we're looking at it. We got a good plan. We got a good plan of attack. We're ready to go. We're like, yeah, we're gung-ho. We're all set. Yahoo, Cocoa Puffs. Let's go do it. And next thing you know, we just don't do it. We don't put one foot in front of the other. Or the first obstacle that comes your way causes you to go off the rails and then you're done. And I say that because I know. I say that because I've experienced that. And that's happened to me many, many times. So, you're there in step 2. You're making sure that you're setting yourself up for success. You're making sure that you're actually doing it. You're actually pushing forward with making it happen. How many times have you heard other people say, enjoy the times with your kids, because next thing you know, the time has flown by. They're out of the house and they're doing their things that they need to do. How many regrets do we have that we didn't take the time to be able to live in the moment and be a good parent? Well, although we were good parents, trust me. But what I'm saying is, if you then regret the things that you didn't do during the time that you had to do it, because we think to ourselves, our life is so busy, I got so much stuff going on, I can't accomplish the things that I want to, I can't be the type of person that I want to be. All those things are going on in your head. And then it ends up creating more noise than anything else, and then you're not accomplishing anything that you want to be able to accomplish. So you got to give, during that step 2 portion, checks and balances. Give yourself some accountability to quantifying what you're trying to be able to accomplish. So these next 2 weeks when I go out with my family, I'm going to be mentally giving myself checks each night to make sure I'm investing, I'm engaging, I'm making sure that I'm having conversations. We're having fun together. I'm not on my phone. I'm not on my tablet. I'm enjoying, I'm embracing the moment. Because I got to give myself those checks during that time period that I'm taking. That my goal is to, remember what I said, my goal is to really engage with my family and enjoy these next 2 weeks as a family to be able to go do it. So I'm purposely going in and doing that. And I need to be able to move forward. What might be a curveball? My son's a young teenager, right? My son's an early teenager, so he may not want to have any time with dad. Maybe he just wants to play on his phone and text his friends or whatever else. And that might piss me off. And I might be like, oh man, so that might be a curveball that I need to throw at myself. So now I need to say, okay, what do I need to do to be able to adjust to that? Meet him where he is. Enjoy the moment. Maybe get on there with him. Maybe do some stuff, some funny stuff. Maybe take some photos so that he could post different places or do whatever. Live in his space. That's my adjustment, okay? So step 2 is taking the time that's necessary for you to be successful. It may be a really long time. Set those expectations. Understand that it's not overnight, and understand that some things take a while to bake. You got to take the time necessary for you to do that, okay? So now, step 3, which would be a great place to be, but step 3 is a lot of place that we don't ever really get to. We don't accomplish the things that we're really, truly trying to accomplish in life, and we can't get to step 3. But if you do get to step 3, there's a thing that we do at the job that I work, okay? So I'm going to bring in a little bit of work-related talk here. So we do events, and so I might work as a business consultant to business owners, and I'm sitting down with them to be able to talk about profits, losses, all that good stuff. One of the biggest initiatives that we try to bring to the table is to get out in the community and be a part of the community as a business owner, as a local business owner, connect with people out there. And so one of the things that we do is we do these events. We go out and we do whatever it is, whether it's a home show or whether it's a garden show or whatever it is, for the business owner to present themselves, to be able to say, I'm a local business owner. Here I am. You're, kissing babies and shaking hands and doing all kinds of great stuff to be able to connect with the community. Well, the thing that we do afterwards is called an after-action review. And we sit down and we talk about what went well. What did we do that was really successful? What did we do that we could have done better? What did we do that maybe we can make some adjustments here? Or little things that we can lift up here or there and be successful whenever we want to do these things moving forward, or for future things that we want to be able to accomplish. What are some of the successful things that we did, and we can be able to layer those in. So the after action report that I do at work should be exactly what we're doing on the post time that we took in step 2. Step 3, I'm going to call it the after action report. You need to take a look at what worked. If you're successful in whatever it was that you were trying to accomplish, take a look at what worked, and take a look also what some of the pitfalls were, some of the downfalls that you might have had, some of the adjustments that you had to make. I just talked about my son being an early teenager and wanting to be able to be buried in his phone, and it might piss me off and I might throw that curveball at me. What kind of adjustments did I make? You need to do the after action review. Take a look at what you're doing, and you're basically saying to yourself, I want to extrapolate. I want to pull out all the things that I did that were really, really successful, and then pull out all the things that were failures or bumps in the road or obstacles, and how I adjusted and how I pivoted to be able to get to the successful place that I did in step 2 at the end of that whole entire thing that I was trying to be able to do. So after action review is more time. This is the part that we always forget to do. We always forget to reflect. We want to celebrate in the moment and run to the mountaintop and go, yes, I did it. I'm going to move on to the next thing. This is awesome. And what's next, right? We always do that. But do we ever really take the time to adjust, take a look back on, reflect on, journal, jot down all the things that worked? Because guess what? You're going to have to use those things moving forward. Something else is going to come up in your life that's going to throw a curveball at you because, like I said, that evil life will look at you and go, ha, you think you're so good, you think you're so smart, you're moving the right direction. Whoops, there's a curveball. Whoops, there's a banana peel. Whoops, there's a flat tire. Whatever it is, it's going to throw it at you. You can use some of these things that you were successful with in step 2 that you've reflected on in step 3 with the after action report. You can look at those things as you've jotted them down and you've looked at and you've written down the things that you've done most successful. You can use those things to be successful moving forward. Do that. Step 1, take the time to prepare. Take the time to live in the moment, to understand what your goals are, what you really want to accomplish, not nice to haves, what you really need, what you're going to work on, what you will be in the mode of. And you've got to set yourself up for success. Step 2, take the time to actually do it. Setting realistic expectations with yourself, knowing that it may take longer than what you expect, and be able to dig in, take the time necessary, and make that happen. Step 3, after action review. If you're successful or not successful, sit down, write down what worked, what didn't, jot those things down, because those are your behaviors. Those are the ways that you respond to life. And a lot of times we don't take the time to look at how we respond to life. We just respond to life. And if you can know how you respond to things and you can give yourself a bird's eye view, step outside of your body and look down on what you were able to do during that time period, you're only going to set yourself up for success because now you know your triggers. Now you know what works for you. Now you know where your passions are and what your drive is and what motivates you and what causes you to adjust. And some things may not cause you to adjust, but those things that did cause you to adjust, great. Lean in on those because those are important to you. Whew, it's a lot of brain work stuff, right? So 3 steps to what I feel is important in taking time necessary to be successful. Step 1, step 2, and step 3, okay? A lot of things I also say is you're taking the time to sit back with me to be able to help you. Listening to the podcast, going on No Finish Line Nation, going to a get-together that we're all going out to Scottsdale, and we're sitting down and we're connecting and living in a community, leaning in on people, doing the things that are necessary in the social media stuff that are actually positive forces in your life. You're taking the time right now to do that. Be proud of that. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me for sitting here with you to be able to take the time before I go on a 6.5 or 6 hour trip out to Arizona. Here I am sitting on a podcast to make sure that my mind is right and it's tight and it's ready to go. So take the time necessary. Live in the moment. We only have a short amount of time here. So do the things that are necessary to be in the moment towards personal growth, towards being the best version of who you need to be being the best family member that you need to be, whatever it is that you're trying to be able to accomplish in your life, whatever legacy you're trying to leave, do it now. There's no better time than doing it right now for you to be successful and taking the time necessary for you to do that. Have a great day, everybody. Hopefully I'll be able to check in with a really quick podcast when I'm out there in Arizona, if I'm recording some stuff. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks and we'll talk soon. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms at Liquidshano 1973. And if you could do us a favor, pop on over to iTunes and show us some love and leave some feedback there for us. Talk later.